7 spirits are eyes, facets, and angels. 7 spirits can be spirits, man, and angel. Both witnesses are also the same person, depending on whether it's Elijah or Moses working. David Koresh had all the spirits around him, just like me. All Koresh had to do was say he was also Muhammad. Both Jesus and Muhammad had spirits and angels around them. So do I and Koresh. If Jesus can save Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, he can save me. Jesus became Jesus and no longer his old self when he realizes that Moses and Elijah are the two behind the two in the Bible. When others realize I'm right, then everything else will be fulfilled. When you have love, then you have a partner. You and the love of God are partners, with the love of God as your wife. Both together are a wife to God. God is husband to you, and your love for him to have his children. You and your love for God are one thing. Flesh and spirit are his. You must make sure you and the wife of your youth, your love for God, do not break up and get divorced, because then you are divorcing God. By having a love of God, then we are married to him and must rely on him as the husband. The love of God is the wife, but it comes from being his child. And as strong as you love your own child, which is his child. God is the Father of us all and also the husband of us, and our love for him as one. God becomes the father of our children by marrying the love we have for him, that we have become one with. And the love we have for him is like a father and child, but referred to as a wife, so he can marry us. God is supposed to own a paradise, not a junkyard. From now on, God owns a clean paradise, and Satan owns the unclean junkyard. Satan has the dump where the worms never die and the fire never goes out, and God has the paradise. If you do not rely on God in faith for what he can do for you because you love him, you have broken faith with him. You must have faith on what your love of God can do. If you're not relying on God's love, then you're going against him because you're relying on something else. When one relies on himself instead of God, he is actually being abusive to his love for God. He is taking his love for God for granted. The reason God is doing this is because he has witnessed how you are with your love for him. You no longer have a love for him, but you have a love for something else. You have married the daughter of a foreign god. Your love is for the things of this world instead of the love for God, which is what Eve caused when she wasn't satisfied with what God could provide. If your love is for what man can do instead of what God can do, you want man to be the father instead of God. Eve said, go get a job and stop relying on God so they could have and support a family. Adam said, okay. You desecrate God's love for us when you love and rely on something other than him. From now on, God will be cut off everyone who loves something more than him. It doesn't matter who they are. If you love something more than him, you will be cut off. It doesn't matter what you offer or how much you cry. He will no longer accept and have pleasure in you. God is cutting off all from the kingdom of God who do not offer themselves in love to him and have him as their Father. All have stopped relying on God. Not only do you not recognize him as your Father and you as his child, but you love something more than him, and you have married it by relying on that instead of God. It is an abomination to love the things of man more than the things of God. You could flood God's altar with tears. He will no longer pay attention to man's way or the things he does with his own hands. You have married a foreign god. You have a love for man's things instead of God as your first love. The covenant of our fathers was that we rely on God. Why have we stopped doing that? By loving the things of the world more than the things of God, you have actually married Satan. The love of God is his peace. The 7-day rededication is also a yearly cleaning from sin. And if we are in cleaning, then we are passed over from God's wrath. I know people may sin. That is why we have a yearly cleaning. The 7th day is an atonement week. For God I do this.